continue from where we ended in our previous class. So in our previous class, just if I can take us a little bit back, we talked about what is known as an activity on arrow diagram, which is simply just a diagram showing us the events, the activities, and also the relationship among activities in a given project. We looked at how this can wrap up and be projected in form of a diagram, and we gave an example of a diagram as the one which is being shown on the screen. Now, we said we have got about two methods. Okay, we have got about two methods that we can be able to use to display the sequences of various activities that are involved in a given project. So this one was just the first one, okay, and it is known as the activity on arrows because as we draw the sequences, the activities are represented on the arrows. Now, today we are going to start by looking at the second method that is used in showing the sequences that are involved in a given project in depicting the relationships and dependencies among the activities. So the second method is known as the precedence diagramming method, which is also abbreviated as PDM. So in case you come across a word, you come across these abbreviations PDM, please don't be lost. You must be able to know that we're just simply talking about PDM. And usually in project management, there's what is known as the project management software. Okay, we are living in the world of technology, and technology is being integrated in various things, and yeah, it is being used in most of things that we are doing, which also includes project management. So when it comes to sequencing of activity, the most popular software that is used is known as the project management software, and it uses the PD method or the PDM as opposed to the activity on arrow. So under the precedence diagramming method, okay, one thing we have to note is that activities are represented by boxes. Okay, instead of activities being shown or represented by arrows, here the activities are represented by boxes. Then apart from that, it also has got arrows, though the arrows under this diagram are only there to show us the relationships or the dependencies between activities. Okay, all right. So if we can scroll down here, you can see on the screen we have got an example of a precedence diagramming method or diagram or network diagram. So the same thing. So under this diagram, instead of seeing circles or nodes representing events which denote the beginning and the end of a given activity, we see boxes. Okay, you can see these boxes. So there's this box here, box A, which I believe is denoting an activity which is the beginning activity. Okay, then we've got another box here, box D. Then we also have got box H here, which is under the third column. Then last but not the least, we have got box J, which is the last column, which is under the last column. Now, I want you to observe something. Under the first column here, we've got about 3 boxes, which are all representing activities. And then we don't have any arrow that is linking these boxes together, meaning these activities represented by these three boxes in our first column are independent of each other. Okay, they are not dependent on each other, and they can start on their own. So if it means activities, it means you can start doing these activities whilst the other people that are involved in the other activity are also doing that given activity. It is not like a situation where, for example, before you can begin putting the roofs on top of the house, you first have to have a plumber that will install those planks that will be able to support the roof, isn't it? Meaning, roof installation is dependent upon the activity of plumbering. Without plumbering, roofing cannot start. So you can see that there is a dependency relationship between these two activities. Now, if we take an example of, let's say, uh, those that will be, let's say, built in the wall fence, and those that will be built in the house. Those that are built in the wall fence can be able to start building the wall fence, whilst these guys who are building the houses are also building the houses. Okay, yeah, given that there are enough resources whatsoever, there will be no correlation between these two activities, hence eliminating any form of dependencies. So we can give that same analogy to help us understand what these three diagrams mean, since they don't have any arrow connecting them to each other. Now when we go in our second column, that's where we've got um, boxes representing activities, and these activities have got arrows that are connecting them with the previous boxes. Okay, meaning these activities are dependent on the previous activities. Not only that, we have to be able to see, for example, we have got activity E and activity F, which are two activities that have got arrows connecting them to one activity, which is activity B. Meaning activity E and activity F can only begin once activity B has begun and finished. Okay, so we are seeing one activity that is being dependent, that is being dependent upon by two other activities. All right, so and the process just goes on and on until you are done establishing the sequences, the dependencies, and the relationships. And then apart from that, what another thing that we can observe is that when we look into these boxes, okay, of course, box A, maybe it's a code that has been given to the given activity to say, okay, so this activity will be code A, and then in the manual book you'll be able to check what the code A stands for, so that you can be able to understand properly the given activity that is being carried on or that is happening. Okay, so you can be able to see also activity, I mean the code A stands for this, so the activity that is being represented by this box is this and this given activity. Now after that, when you go down, you have got dates. Okay, you have got the starting date here, then you have got the finishing date below here. Okay, all right, and the starting date is used to indicate the date when this given activity begins. The finishing date also helps to show and indicate the date when this given activity is finishing. Okay, all right, so that we can be able to just get more information of exactly what's going on. All right, so that is on the precedence diagramming methods, which is a powerful tool that can be helpful in illustrating just how activities are connected with each other and how they are flowing from the beginning of activities to the ending activity or activities. So that is falling under sequencing of activity, which is the second phase of the time management process under project implementation. So now we can just hurry up. There's another important tool that is known as the task dependency types. Okay. So this diagram is showing us the different types of dependencies that exists. Now what we are going to do is I'll give you as homework. Yeah, let's just make it homework. I wanted to give you as a class exercise, but I think I'll just give it to you as a homework. So please, under task dependence types, I want you to go and figure out the different types of dependence tasks that are illustrated in this given diagram. Then what you can do is, after you do your research, tomorrow by 18 hours you must be able to email me the answer. I mean, not email me, send me the answers on my WhatsApp. All right. Okay, well, let's do this. I'll give you my email address, which you must be able to use to email me the answer, so that yeah, so that we can also have an assignment before we write our exams. All right. So now we go to the third phase under the project management, I mean the time management process under project implementation. So after you have defined the activities that will be involved in implementing of your project under the first phase, and then you have also sequenced them. Okay, you have formulated a sequence or a diagram to show how they are flowing and interconnected to each other. The third thing, or the first under the third phase, is to estimate the resources required for each given activity. Okay, so a resource breakdown structure, which is a structure, of course, that shows the resources for each given activity. So a resource breakdown structure is a hierarchical structure that identifies the project's resources by category and type. Okay, so after you come up with the resources, you must be able to identify the resources by category and type. Okay, so below is an example of the resource breakdown structure down here. Okay, so we can see we have got under input activity list and the attributes. Okay, then under tools and techniques, we have got the various techniques that will be involved in ensuring that we use the input or activities here to come up with an output on this other end. So you can be able to see, once we come up with the activity list and attributes, then we use the tools here such as alternative analysis, bottom-up estimation. We end up coming up with an activity resource register. Okay, of course, as we go along the way, we shall take a deep dive into looking at more deep dive into looking more into the tools and techniques and how they operate. But just simply in summary, this is how a resource breakdown structure operates and works. Alright, so now when estimating activity resources, it is always important to consider certain issues. The first one, you must be able to consider how difficult would it be to do specific activities on this given project. The second one is you must be able to understand what is the organization's history in doing similar activities. If you remember, under the type of planning that is known as forecasting, it is a type of planning that works with the prehistorical data. So, as you are doing your estimation, you might want to consider first of all the history, okay, of the organization in conducting a similar activity or the same given activity. That way, it will help you at least make an estimate, okay, of how likely you are to go about on handling that given activity, or how best you can go about in handling that given activity by your organization. Then the third important issue to consider is, are the required resources available? Okay, so you might want to, let's say, purchase resources that are actually already available. Okay, so it is always important to always first ask yourself, are these resources available or are they not unavailable? And then of course the first one is to also try to figure out how difficult it is to implement the given activity, so that you can be able to also know just how serious you are supposed to take in terms of um, implementing that given activity. All right, once you are done with the third phase, then you must be able to go on to the fourth phase, which is simply activity duration estimation. So duration, already you know, we are simply just talking about time, or the time that it will take for you to complete or achieve given activities. Okay, so people doing work should do help create estimates, and an expert should review them. All right, so when it comes to coming up with the duration, okay, you must be able to work in tandem with the people that of course will be doing the work. You ask them to say, oh gentlemen, so this given project, we want you to do these tasks. So how long do you think you are able to complete these given tasks? And then you get the feedback from them. And then once you get the feedback from them, the second thing you must do is you must now consider consulting someone who has been an expert in that particular field, or who has been an expert in that particular area with regards to the given activity or activities. That way you might be able to come up with a balanced and biased estimate, okay, of just how long or the duration that will be required to complete given activities. Because I mean, if you just ask people to say, how long do you think you can finish this job? Maybe they might not be honest. They might want to exploit you. Okay, maybe they know to say, the longer we take working on this project, the more we get paid. So they might end up maybe giving you estimates that are beyond what they would actually or initially take in terms of completing given specifics. So in order to avoid that and to strike a balance, it is always important that at least you do you consult, okay, from both the people that will be doing the work, and then also from people who are experts in that given field or activities. So instead of providing activity estimate as a discrete number, such as 4 weeks, it is often helpful to create a 3-point estimate. All right, so when creating estimates, okay, it is important to create at least a 3-point estimate where you are able to make some kind of a range, okay, where you say, okay, maybe this activity might be done in 3 to 4 days or 3 to 6 days. As you can see there, there's some kind of 3-point estimate, rather than just saying it will be done in 3 days. What if it overlaps? Okay, so when making estimates, it is always important to make it at least a 3 point estimate. All right, so uh, in reality, this is quite challenging, okay, because of various activities, okay. So I mean various factors, sorry, okay. So for today, I think we shall end here on the 3 point estimate. All right, we shall end here on the 3 point estimate. Then tomorrow when we come, I think we can come and continue from where we have ended in our class today.